Well over 100,000 people here in Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium, and it sounds like a library in here. And the reason is Zia Combs is injured. They've unscrewed the face mask on his helmet, and they've now brought out a gurney.
And as we take a look at the replay, an excellent punt that looked like it may have been down. And the two bullets as they're going down to try to down it. There's Zia Combs, and you're going to see Ernest Shazer come in from the right side of your screen and catch the top back portion of the helmet of Zia Combs. Just a hustle play by Shazer. And Zia Combs was down from that point forward.
Boy, a hush has come over the crowd here. This game just underway. 10:52 to play in the first quarter. We're scoreless. Both teams have had the football, unable to move it. This was a Michigan punt that was covered. Zia Combs, as you just saw, took the hit to the head, and immediately they unscrewed the face mask, took that off his helmet, and they've been attending to him ever since. Lloyd Carr out with him, the head coach.
They have very, very strict protocol when it comes to any kind of head or neck injury. If the player complains at all about their head or neck, instantly the face mask comes off and they start to work and immobilize the neck and head area and get them on a backboard.
Penn State players looking on with great concern as well. This is a program that has been through this before, and we certainly hope this is not as serious as what Adam Talaferro went. Certainly a miracle up in Penn State College. We're hoping this is well, you don't even want to speculate, but obviously everybody concerned. Scoreless here in Ann Arbor. Let's take you back to Manhattan. John Saunders.
All right, Tim, thanks a lot. This is the Old Navy update. Oregon already down 7-0 to UCLA. Jason Fife goes 17 yards to George Reister for the touchdown. Great job to hang on to the ball. So we are tied in the Pac-10 at 7 apiece. Still about 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. Tim.
Wow, that's a game that obviously UCLA is very, very concerned with. Very talented Oregon team coming into the Rose Bowl this afternoon with a lot of speed, and obviously they're on the board quickly to tie it up at 7. Here in Ann Arbor, still working on Zia Combs, trying to get him positioned so they can get a board under him, it looks like.
And it's so hard, Tim. You played, I played. I had the unfortunate one time when I was at Washington, we had a guy from Arizona State go in and lay down on the field, and you just sit there. It takes the wind out of the sails for both teams, because at this point it's not about the game. It's not about anything but this young man's health.
Well, you can see the emotion. Got him strapped to the board, and now they will put him on the cart and get him immediate medical attention. But you're right, it changes the entire atmosphere. This was a festive atmosphere, an electric atmosphere, the intensity. You could feel the emotion in the stadium. Now both teams being pulled back together. I imagine a prayer will be said, some thoughts will be relayed. And
that is a good move by Lloyd Carr. It is so difficult when one of your teammates goes down, because you're thinking 6 million things other than what's at hand. And unfortunately right now there's nothing that anybody on the Michigan team can do for Zia Combs. So now they need to refocus and get their heads back in this game.
Well, the concern for Zia Combs certainly will not be diminished. But things have to change, as you say, and get back emotionally peaked for a game that is pivotal and critical in the Big Ten Conference. And they take Zia Combs right through the bench area of Penn State. And as I said, this is something that they have been through before. And we'll try to get you an update as soon as possible. But as you know, injury updates are now virtually impossible to get. And that's almost a good thing.
And talking with Joe Paterno last night, he's always been that way at Penn State. Has nothing to do with the new legislation about privacy next year. That's just the way Joe's always been. He said it's a private thing between us and the players.
So here we go. First down for Penn State. The ball is at 20. Nittany Lions second possession. Out of the shotgun, Robinson the quarterback. Incomplete. It was intended for Tony Johnson. Zach Mills started the game. He's been hampered by a sore shoulder, but says he's okay. But they take Robinson and they put him in. Larry Johnson did not start the game. Instead, it was Michael Robinson at tailback, and now they bring Zach Mills back into the game.
Michael Robinson, a very bright guy. He has a great grasp of the entire offense. He can play so many different positions, but Zach Mills is really, really the key. Both coaches say this is the key, and there he goes out as a wide receiver, change up to Penn State.
This has been done before. This is a new Joe Paterno and a new era at Penn State. Robinson will run. Breaks a tackle, and he's got a first down across the 30. So Michael Robinson, a 6'3", redshirt freshman. Take a look at our Nivea for Men starting lineups, the backs and receivers. Johnson is the key. We told you that. The son of a coach averages 6 yards a carry, but not in the ball game. Mike Gasparotto steps up, and we've seen Robinson as well. 3 Johnsons have combined for 74% of the offense. The offensive line, big. Averages 6'4", 307 pounds. Felder, the biggest, at 321. Lenda, the smallest, at 293. Iorio, the center, the heart of the line.
And now Michigan caught in a game of cat and mouse with Penn State. They don't know who's going to be the quarterback for Penn State with both of their quarterbacks on the field.
Robinson throws underneath to his fullback. This is Jefferson. He breaks the tackle and picks up 9 yards. Paul Jefferson. So a little bit of everything out of Penn State early.
And Fran Ganner, the offensive coordinator for Penn State, has done such a nice job allowing his quarterbacks, be it Michael Robinson or Zach Mills, to get into a rhythm with a lot of screen stuff. That time they find Paul Jefferson, the fullback, for a really nice gain in the middle of the field.
Mills under center on first down. They give to the fullback, Paul Jefferson. And the 6'1" junior pounds his way forward for 3. Bowman was there along with Hoyer and Kaufman.
And when we talked to Zach Mills earlier this week, he was talking about his shoulder, about the AC joint sprain. He said it felt better. It was a little sore, but he's going on and off the field. And I think that this is just because they want to, Penn State wants to give Michigan as many different looks as they can without Larry Johnson in the game.
Robinson now the quarterback. 2nd down and 7. The reverse and nothing there. Smith, the carrier, stopped by Kaufman. Defensively for Michigan, the D-line is a tight group. Stevens started. Dante Orr at right end has a bad knee. Bowman starts, but you'll see Norman Hoyer there as well. It's a 6-pack. At linebacker, a very aggressive group. Folks, watch the big dog. Number 6, Victor Hobson, the captain. He's special. In the secondary, Marlon Jackson lives in Pennsylvania, went to camp at Penn State, now playing against his neighbors. Zia Combs at the right corner. You saw him injured earlier. We'll get you an update if we get one. That's your Nivea for Men starting lineup, and a penalty here on 3rd down as Larry Johnson checks back in for Penn State.
And I love, here comes the he said, she said. Both sides of the right defensive line for Michigan and the left side of the offensive line, Gus Felder and Easy Smith over there pointing at each other.
Ball start. Offense.
This will be against Penn State, and so they'll move them back.
We take a look at by the numbers, Penn State's offense against Michigan's defense. The one thing that Michigan has struggled with, Penn State offensively, Zach Mills leads the Big Ten at 261 yards. Michigan, although they've been fairly consistent, the one thing that they've given up in the passing game is a few ones over the top. And I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Mills takes a little shot here and tries to get a cheek from down the sidelines.
Lloyd Carr now has beaten Penn State 5 straight games. Nittany Lions want to change that. 3rd down and long. Mills will have to scramble. Throws against the grain, has the completion, but not enough for the first. Gerald Smith with the catch. Charles Drake closed quickly, so not enough. And Penn State will punt.
This look by Michigan defensively, a 4th-down lineman, and Victor Hobson is basically the 4th-down lineman running a stunt, and Hobson is so active in the middle.
So David Royer will try to pooch punt this. He's got a short field to work with. Julius Curry, who averages 12 yards a return, standing at the 12. It's a knuckleball. Curry lets it hit, and Penn State has a chance. and down it inside the 1.
Now remember, this is not the NFL. It doesn't matter if the player crosses into the goal line. It is only the football. I actually like this rule better in college than the NFL.
Great coverage by Tony Johnson, number 11. A 49-yard punt. The Wolverines will be starting right at their own goal line. .39 to play first quarter. Michigan takes over. The ball downed inside the 1. And so the Wolverines are backed up. And defensively, the Nittany Lions want to take advantage of this field position.
And here's where you have to be very careful. If you're Penn State defensively, you want to get an extra body up in the box, right up in here to play defense. But you've got to leave a safety back as the card gets back into position after taking Zia Combs into the locker room. But you have to be very careful, Penn State, because if I'm Michigan, I might fake one into the line, let Navarre go back and just throw one up to the sideline. It's either incomplete or you may get a big play out of it.
Wolverines out of the eye. Now they shifted. Straight ahead goes Navarre, picks up a yard, maybe 2.
And what a great play by Tony Johnson. An excellent punt by Royer. Johnson was being blocked right up to the last minute. And as we freeze it right here, the only thing that matters is that that ball does not cross the goal line. We can see part of his body is in the end zone. And people that are used to watching the NFL game would say that's a touchback. Not in college football. The only thing that matters is if the ball crosses the goal line. An excellent play by an offensive player, Tony Johnson.
Get our first look at John Navarre. Big, strong quarterback, 6'6", just under 230. Quality guy, good decision maker. Second down and long. Perry has a hole. Busts it out to the 7. The Nivea for men starting lineups, backs and receivers. They rotate a lot of guys in here. Perry and Askew both average 5 yards a carry. Joprou is the captain. Bellamy is solid. Edwards is a future star. Maybe the future is now. The offensive line, Adam Stenovich starts in front of Courtney Morgan today. Dave Pearson, the center, is the only one under 300 pounds. He's 291. This offensive line is solid. There's Chris Perry. Third down, they need 3. Off right tackle. He'll be close. Penn State held him at the 10-yard line. He'll be just short of the first. Gino Capone came up and made a stop from the linebacker spot.
Chalk one up for Penn State's defense. A great punt by Royer. Gets Michigan down inside the 1. And right now Tom Bradley has to be very happy with this effort, making them punt in a game that is becoming a game of field position early. Penn State wins one.
So Finley will punt. Brian Johnson up near midfield. Awaiting that, ready to receive. Penn State will have pretty good field position, but here's a whistle and a penalty. The flag down all the way over by the sideline. This will be against Michigan, which will back them up even more.
Ball start, offense, half the distance, the down remains 4.
So now Adam Finley has to go 9 yards deep in his end zone.
And it's a short snap. Usually you like your punter to be at 15 yards. He'll be at 12 or 13. So the block point will be at 7 or 8 yards. If I'm Penn State, they're overloaded here to the right side. Come on after it. Try to get to it.
Now Johnson moves into Michigan territory to receive this punt. It's a high wobbler. He'll take it at the 42. Gets a block. Down to the 30. Cuts back inside. Johnson at the 20. All the way down to the 17-yard line goes Brian Johnson. A 38-yard punt, a 25-yard return, and the punter, Adam Finley, had to make the tackle.
A really nice job of Penn State setting up a return. I thought they would go after it. They overloaded to the right side, and then they set up a wall back there. And Michigan staying in forever to make sure that they get the punt off. And Johnson's such an explosive player, a guy who lost his confidence 2 years ago, actually got moved to defensive back. He has made sensational play after sensational play for Penn State so far in 02.
Both quarterbacks are in, Zach Mills and Michael Robinson. Robinson now splits to the slot. Mills up under center. McHugh, the only setback. Incomplete. It was actually closer to Marlon Jackson than it was his own receiver. Let's go back to New York and John Saunders.
Tim, Chris Sims has struggled in games against top 10 teams. Today, facing Oklahoma, hooks up with Roy Williams. 44 yards, gets it inside the 2. That sets up the quarterback keeper for Sims in Texas. Strikes first in the Red River shootout, up 7-0.
All right, John, here in Ann Arbor, we're still scoreless. 5:27 to play in the first quarter. Although Penn State down deep in Michigan territory. Second down and 10 at the 17. Tony Johnson in motion. Here's the give to Johnson up the middle to the 5. Johnson in for the touchdown. Larry Johnson with the pulled hamstring still scores on a 17-yard drop right up the middle.
Little delay. Sean McHugh, the fullback, does such a nice job on this block. Watch as he gets through on the cut block on the linebacker. And Larry Johnson, he doesn't look full tilt. That's a big enough. He could be 70% and run through that hole. Nice finish by the 220-pounder.
So Larry Johnson, at least the Big Ten in all-purpose yards, scores his 7th rushing touchdown of the year. Robbie Gould, the extra point attempt. It's up. He splits the sticks, and Penn State leads 7-0 with 5:21 to play in the first. Well, we're finally underway after that great Miami-Florida State game. Here, Penn State on the board first. Larry Johnson, the 6'2", fifth-year senior, with a 17-yard run. And Penn State leads Michigan 7-0 on a turf that has really been chewed up, not only in warm-ups, but here in the first quarter. The officials working diligently during that timeout, trying to replace divots, put everything back in place. But this is a very, very soft, loose field. The serve at the 10, gets a block. Out to the 24-yard line, and that's where he stopped by Penn State. Right now, let's go down to Samantha Ryan. Sam, what do you have?
Well, guys, we have an update on Zia Combs, who we saw carted off the field a little bit earlier in this quarter. As you saw, his face mask was removed. I did see him blinking his eyes, and there was movement with his mouth. Now, Dr. Carpenter has returned from the locker room. He said he was on his way to the hospital. We'll have more when we have it. Guys?
All right, Sam, thank you. That really brought a hush over the crowd when Zia Combs took that hit and was motionless. They put him on a gurney. They did wheel him off, and he is now on his way to the hospital where he will receive the medical care he needs. But we'll keep you updated as we have information. Sean Sanderson now checks into the ball game with Chris Perry. Michigan has the ball, first down and 10. Navarre steps up to the pocket and throws a strike. This is Bellamy, and he's got enough for the first down. Defensively for Penn State, the Nivea men's starting lineups: Bronson, Adams gets doubled a lot. Kennedy is an All-American. Haynes is a quarterback hunter with 7.5 sacks already this year. The linebackers: Stewart, Capone is a versatile guy, plays in and out. Wake had a sack last week. And in the secondary, Brian Scott's third year as a starter. Sean Mayer has been the leading tackler 4 games this year. This defense has really been good at preventing the big plays. First down for Navarre. Again, it's Bellamy at the 40 and out to the 43-yard line. Stopped there by Sean Mayer.
By the numbers, these two teams, Michigan offensively, 392 total yards, but it's really the pass defense. You just mentioned that Penn State doesn't give up many big plays, but we just saw in that last play, they played very soft. They like to get an extra man up around the line of scrimmage. And right there, 262 yards a game they're giving up. We saw that John Navarre, when he throws on time, is very accurate.
Second down and 4. Navarre checking off. 3-step drop, throws quickly to the outside, and it's incomplete. Intended for Calvin Bell there, just a little bit high. And so it'll bring up third down and 4.
A little different look that time. Gina Capone came on a blitz. And you heard John Navarre. He was changing the play at the line of scrimmage. When we talked to offensive coordinator Terry Malone, he said, I give them a lot of times 2 plays, either a pass, a run, or a run pass. And Navarre gets to go up and count and put him in protection of the run that he wants.
They need 4 on third down. Edwards in motion. Backside pressure. They go underneath. Not enough there. Askew was hit almost immediately. Anwar Phillips had great coverage on him and made the stop for a loss of a yard.
And right now, Penn State's defense, Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, doing such a nice job of changing things up. Watch how the linebackers are kind of dancing around, and then they back right out. Navarre thought that Bradley was bringing a blitz, and then it becomes a zone. He has to go back to his check down. B.J. Askew, and nothing there. Score one for Tom Bradley.
So Adam Finley comes back on the punt. Brian Johnson will field this at the 15. Johnson breaks a tackle across the 25 to the 27-yard line. And again, you see that turf fly. It's loose. A 42-yard punt and a 12-yard return. A gorgeous afternoon for football in Ann Arbor. Comfortable temperatures. We'll be back. Beautiful day downtown Ann Arbor. I'm surprised they're walking the streets. Most of the folks are here. Robinson now the quarterback in there with Zach Mills. Mills fakes to Robinson and throws. Bounces it out to Bryant Johnson. Incomplete.
And this is a throw that Zach Mills very regularly makes. He had that sprained AC joint against Wisconsin. He says the pain is gone when he throws. It's a little tender to the touch. But I wonder, Tim, you know, he didn't get to throw any long balls or tough throws. This is not an easy throw across your body. But early in the week until about Wednesday, he never really got to be able to throw the ball that far down the field.
Well, he needs 7 yards for a first down. It's 3rd and 7. Hobson coming from behind. Throw to Bryant. Bryant Johnson out close to a first down, depending on the mark. Bill's shoulder bothering him. Lets the bench know about it.
He's taken a couple of shots early in this game. Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator, as we see Michael Robinson trot on as Zach Mills goes out. Jim Herman said we have to get about 10 hits in this ball game. That's not much of a hit, but earlier in the game he took a couple of shots, and when he pulls it down, said he's not going to stop running.
You mean it's not much of a hit?
Well, that's
his arm went limp. First down and 10. 3-step drop for Robinson. And incomplete. It was intended for Bryant Johnson, overthrown. Now you have to wonder if we'll see Zach Mills again.
Well, and it's an injury that can't get worse. It's just a sprain. He felt the pop when he went down against Wisconsin very early in the game on that hard AstroTurf up there. This is a Michael Robinson, very talented young man out of Richmond, Virginia.
Redshirt freshman, quarterback, running back, slot receiver, wide receiver. He's played them all. Averages 6 yards every time he touches the ball. He's a talent. Up under center now. 2nd down and 10. The option. Larry Johnson can't get around the corner. Carl Diggs was there, the second leading tackler for the Wolverines, and he made the stop.
Good job by Michigan defensively. This was the wrinkle. Everybody talks about how Penn State spreads it out, but all of the coaches talked about the option package that Penn State now runs with Zach Mills, and now we see with Mills on the sideline, now back in the game, Michael Robinson be able to run it. That time they strung it out and outnumbered it on the corner.
This defense has not played as well as coaches had hoped for or expected. This is a huge test for them this afternoon. 3rd down and 8 for the Lions. Mills back in the ball game, now throws back underneath and hit the umpire right in the head.
I'm standing right here.
The umpire's part of the field. It's his responsibility to get out of the way.
So tough is that umpire. He is so focused in the middle of that line, looking for holding. And as Zach Mills rolls to his left and tries to come back, it goes right into the face of the umpire. This cannot feel good.
He's tough. Royer with a lot of pressure gets the punt off to Julius Curry. Here comes Curry. Breaks the tackle and out to the 37-yard line. So a 35-yard punt. Curry brings it back 12. Hey, next Saturday, we've got another great matchup between two contenders for the Big Ten title. Freshman sensational Maurice Claret and the Buckeyes head to Madison to take on Brooks Bollinger and the Badgers. Plus other regional action next Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. Check local listings for the game in your area.
Michigan's got to get something going offensively. They talked about another look at, you know, this could turn into a big play. Larry Johnson has plenty of room to run if he catches that little dump off by Zach Mills. Very upset, Larry Johnson. It's not the umpire's fault. I mean, he's trying to watch what's going on, but that could end up being a big play. That looked like it would have been a third down conversion.
Trailing 7-0. Navarro on his first play. Overthrown, intended for Braylon Edwards. Boy, here is a guy, Braylon Edwards, that they are so high on. 26 receptions already this year. And they like him. They say he's very much like Marquise Walker and could be the next great one here.
Now, they need to check the biology department of Michigan and see if they have a human cloning service going over there. I mean, Amani Toomer, David Terrell, Marquise Walker, all of these guys, 6'3", 200-plus pounds. Great hands, can go up and make plays. And Braylon Edwards, it's like he just got in line. He was the next guy in that line of great big receivers.
Give him number 1. Second down and 10 for Navarre. They set up the screen. Incomplete. It was almost picked off by Gino Capone, the linebacker who was sitting on his derriere.
And Anthony Adams, a guy who had to get 150 tickets for today's game. He's from just outside of Detroit, Michigan. Does a nice job. He's going to get right in the way of this. A lot of times he's double team, plays a true nose guard. Look at that power as he throws down the guard, and Navarre had to try to float it over big number 98. He goes just, they say 6 foot. I think he's only about 5'11".
Did you see Capone? He got cut, was on the ground, and the ball came his direction. So it's third down. They still need 10. Backside pressure. Haynes can't get him. There's the dart. There's Edwards. Edwards all the way out near midfield. They'll move the chains. Brian Scott made a good tackle, but Braylon Edwards came clear across the middle.
Boy, what great pocket presence by John Navarre. As the edges started to collapse on him, Michael Haynes, such a good speed rusher to the outside. He didn't panic, shuffled up into the middle. Watch as the pocket starts to collapse to the outside. And he doesn't panic as Haynes does a good job. And that's a big guy you're trying to bring down, and steps right through the ball. Good pocket presence.
Pretty good numbers. First down and 10 up near midfield. This is Perry. Off the left side, gets 3 yards. It'll bring up second down. Tackle made by Anthony Adams.
And that's the first true misdirection play we've seen Michigan run. Terry Malone, the first-year offensive coordinator, was promoted going into this season. His background as an offensive line coach. We were talking to him about this front from Penn State and how big and physical and strong they are. He said, we're going to have to try some misdirection, some tosses, and then later we can try to run right at him with ISOs and dives.
Last second of the first quarter. This will be the last play. They throw it out. It's got to complete to Tyrese Butler. Butler's just short of the first down by about 1.5 yards. But that's the end of the first quarter. Our presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our local stations. You are watching ABC Sports in the Big House. Lloyd Carr and the Michigan Wolverines have a big recruiting Saturday going here, and this guy will be in that fold pretty soon. Penn State leading 7-0. Third down and 1 Michigan. John Navarre's got the Wolverines on the move. Perry straight ahead, close to a first down. But the Nittany Lions closed the hole quickly. Adams was there along with Kennedy and Capone.
And in a game that we've constantly seen personnel from Michigan out trying to fix this field, the officials replacing divots. Advantage offense. Anytime there's a footing problem with snow or rain, the offense has the advantage because the receivers, if they're running a 6-yard hitch route or something, they know at 5 yards I'm going to stop, slow down, get balanced over my feet and turn. And the DB who is trying to make the break, he may slip and fall. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in this game we see a touchdown because of the bad footing.
Just enough for the first down. It was just barely. but just barely is enough to move the chain. So that's first down Wolverines in Penn State territory.
And the first true drive from Michigan. They need to keep this Penn State defense on the field a little bit. They've got to soften them up in the middle against those big bodies so they can get that inside running game going.
Out of the eye. Go straight ahead with a fullback. Askew is down to the 35-yard line. Sean Mayer came up to make the tackle. Boy, Mayer's having a great year.
Yes, he is. And they need him up there. But Anthony Adams, so you want to play nose guard in the Big Ten, huh? Well, why don't you line up and have 2-3 guys hit you right in the mouth. The center Pearson drives him back, and then the guard, Dave Petrozzella, that's 600 pounds hitting your mouth 1-2. You better just bury and let one of those safeties come up and make the tackle.
All-conference, All-American, one of the premier defensive tackles in the nation in Kennedy, but he's got his hands full. Here's Perry, and he's up close to the first down marker again. He'll be a yard short. And again, it's Jimmy Kennedy and Gino Capone making the tackle for Penn State.
And that time, Anthony Adams, the nose guard, does a great job and wins at the point of attack. This time he gets double teamed. He gets a quick swim. Watch him jet into that gap. He's shaded on the nose. Watch him right here come off with a swim, get down in the gap, and get on that tackle. Now, that's great nose guard play. Got battered a little bit the last play. They're going to need him again here on 3rd and short.
He's been double teamed a lot on passing downs, especially this year. 3rd down and 1.
Play action. Why not?
Perry's got the first. Breaks the tackle. He's still on his feet inside the 20. Finally stopped by Lamar Stewart. But a great run by Chris Perry. And here come the Wolverines.
And from the moment Chris Perry came to campus here in Ann Arbor, the coaches knew they had a guy who has some special attributes. Watch him run right through the arm tackle of Chris Harrell, the leading tackler of Penn State. He's been in and out of the doghouse a little bit. The coaches have questioned him a few times about his work ethic, but they've known from the very start this guy has a lot of potential. Good hard run.
First down inside the 20. Play action. Looks over the middle. Incomplete intended for Ronald Bellamy. And Bellamy was tagged.
Might have got a finger in the eye as the defensive back was going by. Boy, this was a bullet by John Navarre. Take a look at the ISO up here on the top of your screen. Setting it up with the stem and then right to the slant. Watch his ball come in there. Bellamy's got to make that play. He's got to come up with that catch. The safety was late getting over.
Got clotheslined.
But this ball put right on the money by John Navarre, and Bellamy gets both hands on. He's going to get a little chewing in the film session. You get both hands on that ball for a touchdown, you got to bring it in.
See the numbers for Bellamy. 11th play of the drive. 2nd down and 10. Navarre checking off the play, trying to get him into something more suitable. So Perry takes off and they give it to Askew. Askew bulls his way down inside the 15.
Fantastic audio, guys smacking each other around.
Folks, if you've never been to the Big House, this is it. And it is special. 111,000 is what they say they've stretched in here today. And on game day in Ann Arbor, Michigan Stadium ranks as the 4th largest city in the state of Michigan, surpassing the population of Ann Arbor itself.
Here comes a big 3rd down, and Michigan going into Penn State's end zone. They could use the help. The Penn State fans coming to their feet.
3rd down and 6. Navarre looks over the middle, incomplete. Calvin Bell had his hands on it but couldn't bring it in. Just a little bit high.
This is something Michigan's offense, one of the wrinkles that new offensive coordinator Terry Malone, and they hired a new quarterback coach, and Scott Leffler, who used to play quarterback here at Michigan. They love the little drag routes, and that time just throwing a little high. But again, I got to call that a drop, Tim. He got both hands. Calvin Bell got both hands on that ball. That would have been a 1st down.
Brings up 4th down. Michigan 5 for 6 on 4th down conversions this year, but instead Philip Grabs comes into the ball game. Now this has been a problem spot for Michigan.
And the footing is bad too. That can a plant foot can slip out.
Fake field goal. They throw it to Grabs. He's at the 10. Not going to be enough for the 1st down. Covered well by Penn State. Mayer with a terrific play from his safety position. So they've had problems with the kicking game. They make it look like a kick. They fake it. It's still 7-0 Penn State. We're in the second quarter. A lot of Nittany Lion fans have come all the way to Ann Arbor. This is fall break for the students at Penn State. Fall break here for the students at Michigan as well. A long weekend, and they're taking it in with a great football matchup. 7-0 Penn State, 11:53 to play first quarter, or second quarter. This is Larry Johnson. Absolutely nothing there. He may have lost a yard. Sean Lazarus was there to make the tackle. Let's go to New York. Here's John Saunders.
UCLA had grabbed the lead over top of Oregon, but back with the big plays come the Ducks. Terrence Whitehead, 37 yards as he busted loose. Barely touched on the touchdown. It's now a tie game at 14 apiece. About 10 minutes to go in the first half.
All right, John, so a shootout at the Rose Bowl. Here we've got two high-scoring teams, but only 7 points on the board. Second down and 10 for the Nittany Lions. Larry Johnson breaks the tackle, gets under the secondary, and carries it out to the 18. Charles Drake tripped him up there. Not enough for the first. It'll be third down. Still need about, well, the mark. They'll need about 3 yards.
Well, you have to go back to the call for a fake field goal by Michigan. They've been awful in field goals, only 4 of 12 this year. And I don't disagree with the call by Lloyd Carr because they've been so bad with field goals. They're the worst team in the Big Ten inside the red zone because of that. And he had to take a chance because with those kind of numbers, that's not a gimme 3 points.
They need 3 on third down. Mills rolls, throws into the corner. Bryant Johnson has it at the 25-yard line. Enough for the first down. Bryant Johnson out of Baltimore, Maryland. He's got blazing speed, tons of talent. Came in as a highly recruited wide receiver out of Baltimore. Lost his conference. They moved him over to defense for a while.
In the year 2000, he's working one-on-one. Marlon Jackson, the fine cornerback from Michigan, has been on him all day. But in 2000, they actually moved Bryant Johnson to defensive back, a nickel back, because he had totally lost his confidence. And it was a game against Michigan in 2008. He had a 50-yard touchdown catch in the game that got him back on track.
Move the sticks, first down. Lions. Mills just shuffle pass out to Larry Johnson, and Johnson had absolutely nothing. Carl Diggs was all over it, never fooled.
These are all the wrinkles now that when you get ready to play Penn State offensively, there's so many different things they can do with the Johnsons, Larry, Bryant, and Tony, and a quarterback like Zach Mills. But that's just great defense staying home. Jim Herman spent so much time drawing up these plays and getting everything ready, getting all the guys ready for all the different looks you get from Frank Ganner's offense.
Joe adjusted his offense, opened it up, changed to maximize his talents. They averaged 37 points a game. Second down and 10. Underneath they go to Larry Johnson. Johnson out to the 30. Stopped there by Hobson, but you're talking about the Johnsons. Take a look at this.
It's really amazing, the two brothers, Larry and Tony, and then you throw Bryant into the mix and all the things that they do. Larry Johnson leads the Big Ten in all-purpose yards, 926 yards on the season. And Bryant Johnson, a punt returner. We already saw a big punt return by him. 74% of the team's all-purpose yards. One of those guys now on third and medium. Maybe a play fake to Larry Johnson. And Bryant Johnson out deep.
Third down and 5 for Penn State.
Bryant right up top there.
Out of the gun, Mills. Tucks it away, nowhere to go. Loses yardage. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Grant Bowman with a sack.
Michigan has been working so hard on a nickel three-man front and bringing pressure. Victor Hobson is going to run a game here in the middle, and the pocket is going to collapse. Zach Mills had Bryant Johnson open, but he cannot find it. It's not a true blitz. They can play zone behind that, but it does appear to be a blitz with a three-man line.
Oh, David Royer gets off a terrific punt. It's a wobbler. Curry will take this inside the 30. And there's going to be a flag because Gerald Smith was inside the halo. He was too close and obstructed the punt returner after a 46-yard punt. This will go against Penn State.
This will be a 10-yard penalty, up from 5 yards last year, inside the 2-yard radius that the punt returner is allowed. And how many times have we seen this in the last couple of weeks? A great punt with little or no return turns into an automatic, basically you gain a first down now with that penalty.
With the opportunity, violate the 2-yard belt, 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Wolverines will get great field position to start this drive out at the 42-yard line. 8:07 to play in the first half. Penn State still by a touchdown, but it's getting tougher. Well, clear skies earlier have given way down to some clouds. Temperatures in the upper 60s with a cold front coming this way. Now it's time for our Aflac trivia question, and this week's question is, who was the U.S. president the last time Michigan had a home crowd of less than 100,000 people? First down, Michigan underneath to Perry. And across midfield into Penn State territory. Let's go down to Sam.
Well, guys, you've been talking about the turf coming up all over the field. We saw some guys lose their footing during the practice. Amy Foudy of the grounds crew was telling me that they're not called to replace the divots unless they hear something. They haven't heard anything just yet, so they won't be filling it until after the game as of now. Now, apparently, a couple of the factors going into this, there hasn't been a game played here in the Big House since September 21st. There hasn't been rain. It's been very dry, guys.
That's what's surprising, Sam, because it doesn't look like it's moist. I mean, it's just dry, and the turf root system doesn't look like it's holding. And the turf is coming up big time. Looks like horses running over that thing. Chris Perry with the carry. And Jimmy Kennedy with the tackle. Jimmy Kennedy, spectacular. All-American, Big Ten Player of the Week. As good as it gets.
And he was a guy who was very vocal. A couple of weeks ago after the Iowa game, he didn't think a couple of guys were playing as hard as they could. He went out against Wisconsin, tied the school record with 4 sacks. He was also a guy this summer, over 100 Nittany Lions stayed on campus and worked out, and he was a guy who was instrumental in having everyone on time to workouts early morning. A very good senior leader.
3rd down and 4. Navarre has backside pressure, steps up in the pocket and drills a strike. So they'll move the chains. It's Benny Jopru, the captain of the team, who makes the catch, his 20th reception of the year.
Just can't give John Navarre this much time and he's so big and so strong. He's got a great arm. You can't give him that much time to step up. Jopru that time lined up in the slot, a really nice weapon for this offense. But we've seen that a couple of times. Navarre stepping into the throw. He can really zip it when he has nobody in front of him and the pocket collapses from the outside.
Michigan does a great job of protecting the football. +7 in the giveaway takeaway. One of the best in the country. Here's Navarre on first down. Throws underneath to his safety valve. Askew breaks the tackle, and Askew's down to the 31-yard line. Another first down for the Wolverines.
And in speaking to John Navarre yesterday, and you know, it's kind of an overused term about take what the defense gives you. Michigan was going to take a shot here. They went 4 vertical, and you can see Navarre setting up. And then the last minute, when they had 2 deep zone, there's no way he was going to get it there. He comes down to a great check down, B.J. Askew, and moves the chains. A nice decision by Navarre.
Navarre now looks to be in a rhythm. First down. Askew around the right side, inside the 25. Another big gain for the Wolverines. Brian Scott finally trips him up. Now let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Tony Johnson, a fantastic job keeping this ball from going into the end zone. And then Larry Johnson, who did not start the game because of sore hamstring, fights his way into the end zone. And then Lloyd Carr, because of all the problems Michigan has had, 4 of 12 in the season in field goals. And Joe Paterno's team right there. Great defense on that fake field goal.
And now Michigan was second and short. Getting close to that Penn State line. Here's Perry. Perry inside the 20. We'll tell you that they have been 16 for 23 in the red zone. Extremely dangerous down here.
Well, and here is where Michigan, when they can start changing things up, and their offensive line, it's young, it's big, it's physical. They've got a bunch of freshmen, juniors, sophomores in there pounding away. And now, with 2 drives in a row, even though their last drive ended with the fake field goal and no points, this is 2 long drives in a row. And those big fellas from Penn State, they got their hands on their hips. They're looking awfully tuckered.
Butler to the top of the screen. Avant to the bottom. Avant in motion. Here's Perry to the 10-yard line. They'll mark him at the 9. Take a look at the Nissan Drive summary.
First 4 possessions for Michigan have become a goose egg, and that last one, 13 plays, 54 drives, 54 yards, ended on downs because of the fake field goal. And now Michigan, second and medium, sitting in a spot where they can move, they can get the first down because they'll be inside the 4 and get a first and goal. I'd go ahead and take a shot though, Tim, on second down. You can always come back on third and try to pick up the first.
Play action. Looking at the 5. Has it complete. This is Joffrey down to the 1. Benny Joffrey wanted that end zone and came up just short.
And this is what Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, was so afraid of, is that if Michigan can get their inside run game, then they can start working their play action. John Navarre does such a nice job taking the ball. And that time, even though there was little pressure, again, he's been so good in the pocket so far this afternoon. Moves out of the way and finds Joffrey.
Joffrey's 3rd catch of the game. An impressive drive for the Wolverines.
Oh, uncovered outside.
Perry to the goal line. No signal yet.
Ooh-wee, Penn State.
Adams and Kennedy and Haynes.
Oh, Penn State just got so lucky that John Navarre, even though they had a running play call, did not see Braylon Edwards to his left completely uncovered. Nobody from Penn State got out there, and Navarre obviously did not see. I think you might want to cover that guy. He's pretty good.
I think the crowd just saw it on the big screen.
Yes, they did. But the run play's called. Navarre's counting people, seeing if he's got the right play on. Can't put that on him.
Second down. Quarterback sneak. Still no signal. Touchdown, Michigan. Still trying to get to the bottom of the pile, but it's official. It's on the board.
Well, when you got a quarterback 6'6", they list him at 228, but I think he's closer to 240 pounds. And your offensive line has started to take over in the last 2 drives. That's the safest and most effective play to run from inside the 1.
Tony Nienberg in to attempt the extra point.
Attempt the extra point.
And it's good. We're tied at 7. 2:52 to play in the first half. And the celebration has begun in Ann Arbor. Navarre with a quarterback sneak. Spectacular view from the golf course just across the street from Michigan Stadium.
I need some of the greenskeepers to come over here and fix some of these divots. It looks like we're playing on a cow pasture here in the Midwest.
Alistair McKenzie designed that golf course. It is in spectacular condition. First down, Penn State. This is Johnson to the 33-yard line. Larry Johnson came in with that bad hamstring, and he scored the touchdown earlier. Earlier we asked you the Aflac trivia question, and here's the answer.
Jimmy Carter?
Who was the U.S. president the last time Michigan had a home crowd of less than 100,000 people? Ford? The answer is, how many guesses you going to?
Hey,
Gerald Ford.
I got it on the second one.
169 consecutive games of 100,000 or more. They say this afternoon that there are 111,000 in here. Fire marshal will be happy to hear that. Second down, they need 7. After their tight end, Williams. Williams gets it to the 40-yard line. Let's take you back to Times Square Studio and John Saunders.
Tim, it's a big play day in the Pac-10. Oregon and UCLA. Keenan Howard had a 79-yard punt return, but back comes Corey Paz. 71 yards to Craig Bragg, who's wide open, then uses his speed to beat the last guy. And just like that, the Bruins bounce back. It's tied. It's 21 apiece. Still 3:20 to go in the first half.
Like a track meet out there. Wonder how that number 32's doing. Kevin Brandt.
Here's a dangerous spot for Michigan. Penn State can do a lot of different things on this 3rd and a foot.
Long count. Mills to his fullback. He's not going to get there. McHugh looks like he came up short. Gabe Watson stepped in and stuffed him.
A little bit of a ball fake by Zach Mills, and he goes back to his fullback. And right at the point of attack, Michigan won. They're starting to win on both sides of the line right now. Michigan's offensive line has taken over in the last 2 games. That's big fella freshman number 78.
Look where his knee hits. He lost yardage.
360 pounds, Gabe Watson. He's a talented big man.
He got a great mark, but he's still short of the first. 1:03 to play. They've got a kick. 1:03 to play in the second quarter. It'll be 4th down and less than 1 for Penn State. But David Royer is on to punt, number 14. So they'll give it to Michigan here with 63 seconds remaining in the half.
The way Michigan's been moving the ball with 2 timeouts, Penn State's going to need to come up with a stop. All the momentum in Michigan's offensive line has been playing so well.
Terrific punt. Terrific punt. Curry all the way back inside the 10. And he's not going anywhere. Tony Johnson is there to take him down. Spectacular punt and excellent coverage by Penn State. A 53-yard boomer by David Royer and an 8-yard return.
Because of that punt, a conservative coach may come out here and just try to pick up a couple of positive yards and run the clock out. Penn State with 3 timeouts left is going to try, if that happens, to try to get it back. But I'll tell you, Tim, with the way this offensive line from Michigan has been playing in pass protection and running the ball, I would keep mixing in. You got your 2 timeouts. I'd try to move this thing down the field and get into a field goal.
Ed, coming up on the Valvoline halftime, John Saunders and Terry Bowden will have scores and highlights from a huge day in college football. It's Showdown Saturday, and there have been some spectacular games, including Miami's come-from-behind win over Florida State. First down, Michigan. Not much for Perry. He gains a yard, stopped by Jimmy Kennedy, and the clock continues to move at 42 seconds.
Well, now, why is Penn State not using one of their 3 timeouts? They've got them all left. They don't go in your hip pocket into the locker room. With a call like that, it's obvious that Michigan's either going to try to take one shot down the field or they're going to let it run out. But now never going to.
Don't tell me, partner, you're questioning Joe Pop.
To me, you just don't leave 3 timeouts on the field with 55 seconds left at the end of the half.
Second down. Askew across the 20 to the 23-yard line, and the clock continues to move with 10 seconds left in the half.
And Royer came through as your punter and pinned him deep in their own territory. I just don't think you walk up the tunnel with those 3 timeouts in your hip pocket.
Well, it's been a terrific first half. Penn State came out, had an interesting drive, scored on a 17-yard run by Larry Johnson. And then Navarre got into rhythm. He was 4 for 4 on a drive that took almost 5 minutes down the field. And he scored on a quarterback sneak to tie it at 7.
It was Michigan's offensive line, really, that was the key there on those last 2 drives. They really started to wear out that big physical front by Penn State.
Let's go down on the field. Here's Sam Ryan.
Coach, you got some momentum going here late in the second quarter, but the concern has to be with Zia. Have you heard anything?
Well, no, they're taking x-rays, but he had some movement, and we just got to pray and hope for the best.
Okay, Coach, and as far as your tie game, you had the momentum. I said, what do you tell them going into the half now?
Well, it's been a field position game, and Penn State knocked us dead down in there inside the one and held us, and they got a good return and led to their first touchdown. But we're playing good defense, and we put a good drive together there at the end of the first half.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Sam, it is a defensive battle and field position game. Two high-scoring teams, but we're tied at 7. Now let's join John Saunders and Terry Bowden at Times Square Stadium in New York City. Saturday afternoons in Ann Arbor is special. It's electric in the big house. Well over 100,000 people, and we're tied at 7. Interesting first half, partner.
And it started to be taken over by the Michigan offensive line. Penn State got started with their special teams. Brian Johnson takes a punt back 25 yards and sets up Larry Johnson. But really, the end of that half was dominated by the offensive line of Michigan, and they get the ball right here to start.
Zia Combs of Michigan was injured early in the ball game. They took him off on a gurney, and it was scary at the time, but we received word now that he has movement in all his extremities and no broken bones. They'll keep him in the hospital overnight. Second half underway. And Michigan will start at the 16-yard line.
We'll take a look at those first half highlights that we were talking about. Brian Johnson gets a couple of good blocks, and it's all about the Johnsons these days. At Penn State, Larry Johnson, who didn't start the game because of his hamstring, his right hamstring finishes so well there, and then because of all the problems Lloyd Carr has had with his field goal unit, decides to try a fake on 4th and 6, and then the next drive, Lloyd Carr gets a payoff with his big quarterback on a quarterback sneak.
So it's first down for the Wolverines. Tied at 7. John Navarre still the quarterback. Had a solid first half. This is Chris Perry at the 20. Gets a block. Perry out to the 30-yard line. Huge gain for Michigan on a little swing pass. Finally stopped by Sean Mayer. Let's take you downstairs. Here's Sam Ryan.
And guys, I spoke with Coach Paterno moments ago. I asked him about the field condition and if there's concern with Larry Johnson's hamstring. He said, yeah, he can't believe that the field is in such poor condition, but he said it's on both sides. He said he knew this was going to be a tough game going in, and they still have a half to play.
Averaging 29 points a game. Michigan with just 7 on the board. Here's Navarre on first down and 10. And again, it's Perry who runs into his own man.
All right, stop.
Ran right into Askew and may have lost a yard. It'll bring up second down and 11.
This is what Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator for Michigan, knew was going to be a battle for this offensive line. He was the coach for 5 years of the offensive line, and then last year was promoted to the new offensive coordinator. There's a look at Terry. Done such a fine job changing things up and trying to get out of dead plays. They had a lot of check with me's at the line of scrimmage, where John Navarre calls 2 different plays and then goes one way based on the numbers up front.
Navarre with a 5-step drop, throws the swing pass. This is Perry. He's at the line of scrimmage, breaks the tackle. And Perry picks up the first down. Gino Capone finally stops him after a gain of 12. Now let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. And the first half statistics, Ed, look like this.
Pretty dominant numbers for Michigan, but it was Penn State special teams, the Brian Johnson punt return that we saw. A very short touchdown drive, and Michigan got no points. They've been really inefficient inside the red zone on that one when they went for the fake field goal. So even though the numbers look a little dominant, that's why we're tied at 7.
Michigan with a good drive here. They're now moving the ball. First down and 10 for Navarre. Deep drop again. Throws to Askew, this time on the swing. And Penn State is all over it. He may have lost a yard. John Bronson was there first, followed by Derek Wake and Gino Capone.
Bronson, a guy who they expect big things as Capone comes up a little gimpy on his left leg. But Bronson, the young guy up front for Penn State, he's got a lot of upside. Went all the way to the state of Washington, Kent, Washington, because of the national exposure in the Big Ten now for Penn State. They get out to the West Coast, and these kids out there all over the country are seeing these teams play, get interested early, and leaving their home states.
Edwards in motion on second down and 11. Long count. Step drop. Fast throw. Pickup of 5. You know, the crowd has been all over John Navarre this year and throughout his career. And it's something that has bothered him and the team, but now they're trying to block it out.
talk to Brian Greasy, if you talk to Tom Brady, you know, they've all been through it. I think John Navarre, who took over when really we expected Drew Henson back for a 4th year. I think it's been very difficult for John, but he's a tough guy. He's a guy that has the respect of everybody on our football team, and that's the most important thing. You can't worry about the things you can't control.
Him if he doesn't have his A game. Here he is on 3rd down, and this is incomplete. Or was it? It was tipped at the line, and it'll bring up 4th down for Michigan. But this crowd has been all over John Navarre, not only this year but throughout his career, if he's not just on top of it all.
And he's been on top of it today. That ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. He had a receiver on an out route wide open. But he went that one drive where they went down and scored 4 for 4. He's been very good in the pocket so far.
Adam Finley, number 39 on the punt. Brian Johnson of Penn State is standing at his own 12. Finley gets a high tail wagger, but it's short. This will actually go out of bounds at about the 30. So just a 23-yard punt after a pretty good first half for Finley, and Penn State will start with pretty good field position. We're tied at 7. Just under 12 minutes to play in the 3rd period in Ann Arbor. Tied at 7. There's a look at Larry Johnson, who was a high school football coach in the Washington, D.C. area, has been at Penn State as the defensive line coach since the early 90s. And there's his boy and his other son. Actually, those are men.
Yes, they are.
Larry and Tony Johnson. He's got to be proud of them. 3-step drop for Zach Mills out to Brian Johnson. Unrelated, but from Baltimore, and an outstanding player. Zach Kaufman makes the tackle. That's 3 catches for Johnson now. And
all the Johnsons have had a hand in the amazing turnaround from the first 5 ball games last year, 1-4, to 4-1 this year. But really, it all falls on the shoulders of Zach Mills. Got his first start last year against Michigan at home. A 20-0 shutout in the hands of the Wolverines, but he has really been the story since that day.
Here's the pitch back to Larry Johnson. It's got a hole. Look out. First down. Breaks the tackle and is out near midfield. They'll mark it at the 49. Stopped by Tyler. Tyler Linden got a great block.
In the turnaround, you could say 1-4, 4-1, but look at the numbers and the things that jump out. Almost double their yards per carry. The rushing game was god-awful the first 5 games of the season. Passing has gone up. Zach Mills leads the Big Ten total offense, but it's really 37 points per game.
You know what's remarkable about that? They start 0-4. Everybody's all over Joe Paterno, ready to run him out, saying he's too old, unimaginative. The Lions have won the 9 out of 12 games. He's remarkable. Here's Zach Mills, and he's got company. Mills is decked, sacked back at the 39-yard line. They'll mark it at the 38. Diggs got there first.
And that is a big sack. About a 9-yard loss. A blitz coming, called by Jim Herman. All-man coverage to the outside. And Zach Mills didn't even have time as he turned around to throw that away. A big loss. Now 2nd and long. You got to start thinking about trying to get half of that yardage back because of the big loss.
2nd down and 19. Tony Johnson in motion. They pull the guard, give it to Larry Johnson. Breaks the tackle, he's out to the 50. Larry Johnson motors all the way down to the 44-yard line in Michigan territory, and it'll bring up 3rd down and a long 3.
Joe Paterno was so concerned about Larry Johnson Jr. We all know what Larry Johnson Sr. can do, a great recruiter, but so concerned at the beginning of the game about his hamstring. He didn't even start him. He looked okay in warm-ups. He kept grabbing at it a little bit. He doesn't quite have the full stride. Looks just a little bit gimpy, but great blocking up front by his big offensive line. Opened a huge hole there.
3rd down and 2. Johnson gets a block on the corner. First down to the 32-yard line. Larry Johnson leads the Big Ten in all-purpose yards, one of the nation's top scorers. He is so fundamentally sound, having a dad as his football coach. This is a great run.
Follow your blockers. That's what his dad taught him to do. Tyler Linda, the right guard, gets out in front. and throws a great cut block on the safety, the linebacker Kaufman, coming up to Phil. Got that little plant leg. Watch right here. He sees the cut block plant to the inside, and you stay tight to those blockers so that the linebacker Hobson has to come and make a tackle way downfield.
A gain of 12. First down Lions will swing past it. Johnson never saw it until it was over his head. Zach Mills had a lot of pressure that time. Talk about a guy who has been instrumental in the resurrection of this football program is Zach Mills. Fran Ganner said Zach is the calmest quarterback he's been around in 30 years and says he's a great ball handler with an unbelievable future.
He doesn't have the greatest arm in the world. He relies on timing and touch. His touch is uncanny. He gets the ball. It's such a catchable ball. All those big receivers talk about how it's so easy to run under his deep ball.
Second down, Mills needs 10. Johnson with another hold and just barely tripped up by Diggs. Diggs was the defensive high school player of the year in Ohio. People thought he was going to go to Ohio State, but when he was 8 years old, he fell in love with the Michigan helmet. And ever since then, he wanted to be a Wolverine.
That's good enough reason as any. That's, to me, the best helmet in college football. You see that, you know what you've got. And now they're going to need Carl Diggs. Jim Herman's been blitzing relentlessly here in the second half. Let's see if he brings those linebackers again.
Third down and 6. Mills with time across the middle, incomplete, intended for his tight end Casey Williams.
Looks like Robbie Gould's going to come on and attempt the field goal, but Jim Herman has done such a fantastic job changing things up. Fran Ganner talked about all the different looks. Have been pressure. That time they dropped 7, and Mills has nowhere to go.
Gould was the Big Ten specialist of the week. After last week, he hit field goals of 33, 42, 51, and 40. This one will be from 47 yards out.
He's got all the leg in the world he needs to make this kick. That 51-yarder was good by 10 yards.
Good snap, good hold. It's long enough, but it's going to be wide right. So what were you saying about the turf?
Oh, that plant foot, as you go down and that plant foot comes off funny, kickers always push the ball on bad turf.
He pushed it right. We're still tied at 7 by just that much. .8:24 to play in the third period. A clash of Big Ten greats, Penn State and Michigan. Two of the winningest programs in all of college football, and certainly Joe Paterno, the winningest coach in Division 1A.
And one thing I don't like about the Big 10/11 is you have to miss 2 opponents every year, and Michigan and Penn State will not be played for the next 2 years, and that's 2 names that in a conference like this should meet every single season.
First down, Wolverines. Edwards in motion, looking that way. Here he is. Braylon Edwards out to the 37-yard line, and the 6'3", 206-pound sophomore has his 3rd catch. You know, one of the all-time great receivers in all of college football was AC, Anthony Carter, 3-time All-American and the Big Ten most valuable player.
Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield and fires.
AC went on to play in the USFL, the NFL, and he's going into the College Football Hall of Fame. He's here today. And was out in the middle of the field at pregame ceremonies, and I mean, folks, he got some kind of welcome back to Ann Arbor. Love Anthony Carter here.
Here comes a 3rd and inches. It looks like the line judge wants to take a peek at this, because where they set that ball, Tim, it looks like they may have picked up the first down. I don't know how they think they can eyeball it.
Well, the referee steps up and says it is a first.
I don't know why it took him so long. I mean, the stick was right on the 40-yard line. The point of the ball is halfway through it. It's pretty obvious from up here that was a first down.
Well, Brian Scott went up to the official and was upset because as the referee was marking first down, he said, I want a measurement, and they'd already moved the chains. Bellamy comes to the bottom of the screen. Edwards to the top. First down and 10, Wolverines. Askew picks up a tough 2 yards. Let's go downstairs to Sam Ryan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tim and Anthony. A tremendous reception for you back at the Big House, first time in 2 years. What was it like to be reunited with Bo and get the reception from this crowd?
I feel real good. It's always 105,000 or more, but just an opportunity to come back and catch a game, and hopefully we can pull this one out.
Let's go back upstairs.
Anthony Carter looks the same. Put on a few LBs maybe. Second down and 8. Pass is complete. Not enough for the first. It'll bring up third down and 4 to Ronald Bellamy. Let's go back downstairs. Sam and AC.
And Anthony, you've been in town doing some work for the Anthony Carter Jr. Foundation. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's something that my wife and I, we started, and we just want to educate a lot of other parents that, unfortunately, that may not have the funds to be able to do things for their kids. So hopefully that we can get this thing rolling, and, you know, for us to get little Anthony walking, and hopefully one day that we have a cure for this whole thing.
6-year-old Anthony Carter Jr. with cerebral palsy.
Yeah, that's correct. And hopefully that, like I said, just hopefully we can find a cure for it one day. And my little boy's doing well, and I'm looking forward to getting back home to him.
Thanks, Anthony. Let's get the play.
Third down. This ball is deflected, incomplete. Edwards had it, and it bounced off his pads.
John Navarre has really found himself a rhythm. This ball thrown in there with a lot of velocity. First down yardage, and Braylon Edwards, who's made some sensational catches all year, drops one that he could have brought in for the first down very easily.
So the defensive battle in a game of field position continues here in Michigan Stadium as you look at Brian Johnson, who will be fielding this back at the 15-yard line. Adam Finley's last punt was only 23 yards. Shanked it. Got pressure coming to the outside. This time he gets off a high spiraling punt. This will take Johnson inside the 10 to the 15-yard line, and Penn State will be backed up. So a 47-yard punt by Finley, not much of a return. Brian Johnson returned it 8 yards, didn't have a chance. 5:34 to play in the third quarter.
Joe Paterno.
I've known him a long time, partner. Played against him, broadcast his games. He's a fiery guy, even at 75.
Tied at 7, and we were just showing Joe Paterno and his fire, but Lloyd Carr sending his defense out. Former defensive coordinator for Bo Schembechler and Gary Moeller. He's still got a lot of fire in him as well.
This game is dead even. No turnovers yet. Tied at 7. Zach Mills hits his fullback right in the chest, and Sean McHugh couldn't hold on to it. It just bounced off his chest plate, but that hit him between the 4 and the 2.
One thing Michigan's done defensively, last year they led the Big Ten in sacks. They're back at their same old tricks this year. They always run a lot of game stunts, blitzes up front, and your offensive line has to be so sharp. Jim Herman said that if we get Zach Mills hit 10 times, we got a chance. If we don't, he can beat us. And right now, they're getting a lot of shots with blitzes. That's just a 4-man rush, and Rumashek takes Mills to the ground on that sore left shoulder.
Second down, they need 10. Larry Johnson's not going to get it. Maybe 1. Lloyd Carr's fiery talk starting to work for this defense. Let's take you back to Times Square studio and John Saunders. John?
Tim, in the SEC, we had no touchdowns between Tennessee and Georgia. 8-0 lead. David Green goes 11 yards to Reggie Brown. So Georgia opens their lead up to 15-0 over Tennessee. Georgia unbeaten this deep in the season, first time since '82.
People saying that Georgia was the most overrated 6th-ranked team they'd ever seen. They go into Alabama last week, a game that I didn't think they could win, and having another good showing today against Tennessee. A nice team Mark Richt's put together down there.
Casey Williams on the 15-yard line, and they're working on his knee. Timeout on the field. We'll take one as well. We'll be back in a moment. Tied at 7, 5:03 to play in the third quarter. Tim Brandt, Ed Cunningham, Samantha Ryan with you in Ann Arbor, Michigan Stadium. Third and long. They need 11. Mills across the middle has it complete to Gerald Smith. First down, Penn State.
Well, it's a nice throw by Zach Mills. Pressure coming from Michigan once again. Jim Herman changing things up this time. Last time on 3rd and long, he dropped 7 and played zone. This time he brings a delayed blitz. Offensive line does a very nice job. Man-to-man coverage on the outside.
A gain of 21. Mills leads the Big Ten in total offense with 280 yards a game. He also leads in passing yards, and that's a big first for the Lions. Give up the middle again. The turf gives way, and Johnson is thrown down hard.
Larry Johnson getting a lot of touches after that first quarter where he didn't start Michael Robinson, the backup quarterback, started at the tailback position because of the right hamstring. Lloyd Carr all week talked about how Johnson and Mills and the other Johnsons and the things that Penn State can do offensively, and they really looked out of sorts at the beginning of the game without Larry Johnson in there. And even though they've only scored 7, they've been able to do some things with him at tailback.
Zachary Eric Mills. Second down and long is looking deep for Brian Johnson. He's got it. Johnson all the way down to the 8-yard line. But Mills threw a strike, and Johnson had Cato June beaten.
This is exactly what the Penn State wide receivers talk about with the ball that Zach Mills throws. Watch how much air Zach Mills gets under this ball. It looked halfway there that there was no way that Brian Johnson was going to be able to get under that thing. Great speed on the outside, but the ball just drops right. It's like he drops it out of a helicopter into Brian Johnson's hand. Great touch on that deep ball.
A gain of 53 yards. Mills, a 20-year-old redshirt sophomore from Iamsville, Maryland, Urbana High School, has just been spectacular this year. Johnson back to the line of scrimmage. Penn State 20 of 22 in the red zone, 15 touchdowns, and 5 for 5 in the red zone in field goals. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
Now Michigan runs on an extra defensive back because of the big stop by Larry Stevens on that. Now you're in a pass situation. I would move the pocket for Zach. Don't want him standing there taking these shots, and you can have the run pass option over here to the left.
Mills to the end zone. Touchdown, Penn State. Mike Lukac made the catch. Correction, Casey Williams. And Penn State's on the board. It was Lukac.
Lukac just hooking up in the middle. Zach Mills in the pocket. I thought they were going to try to move it. He's just going to hook up right there in the middle. And Zach Mills reading the defense. It's a linebacker underneath. And what a nice job by Lukac. Threw a little bit of a stutter on number 43, Carl Diggs. Got to his inside. Diggs has to play that inside out and get his safety help. That's just a nice route by Lukac.
And a fiery Zach Mills. Spectacular drive. Extra point is wide right again. There it is. Another push by Robbie Gould.
Gould, the guy last week who ran to Coach Paterno and talked him into, well, didn't talk him into it, but made the argument, let me kick the 51-yarder into the wind against Wisconsin. And all the players talk about his confidence and his athleticism, but he now has a miss on a field goal and a miss on a PAT. In the defensive game, Tim, PATs are huge. 2:40 left in the third quarter.
That's your special teams player of the week.
And something that they've really been able to rely on is Robbie Gould. He had hit 7 field goals in a row until the miss before, and now he missed a big PAT.
You know, when we were at the Penn State Hotel yesterday, he was sitting in the lobby all by himself by the elevator. And you and I didn't even notice him because he looked like a guy that was waiting for autographs.
He was waiting for Coach Paterno to come down and tell him, let me try some longer field goals. Coach Paterno said it looked, when he ran to me on the sideline of Wisconsin, it looked like a dog running to find a fire hydrant.
2:40 to play in the third period.
All the football games that man has seen through those thick glasses, how many times has a PAT come down to really haunt you in a tight ball game like this?
This will be 8 yards deep. He'll down it, bring it out to the 20. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the most dependable, long-lasting trucks on the road. By Pacific Life, annuities, insurance, and investments. Rely on the strength of Pacific Life. And by Yamaha, makers of fine motorcycles and ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha. Beautiful campus here in Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan. Weather, well, it's autumnal as the temperature continues to drop through the game. A front headed this way that'll take temperatures down into the upper 30s. Navarre incomplete. That ball should have been caught by Braylon Edwards. It'll bring up second down and long. Here's John Saunders.
Tim, I know you've played in those games where whoever gets the ball last wins. Well, that's what's going to happen in the Pac-10. UCLA and Oregon. A little pass over the middle. Greg Bragg, great grab. Third touchdown of the game. 46 yards. Paz, the passer. And now UCLA, after missing the extra point, leads 30-24.
Missed extra point like we just had here. Tight game that's going back and forth. Can't be missing those free one-pointers.
Second down and 10 for Navarre. And oh my, almost picked off by Anthony Adams, the big defensive tackle, who stood up right in the lane of the pass.
John Navarre, for a 6'6" guy, he throws the ball. He doesn't have an over-the-top throwing motion. He gets a lot of balls batted down. This is a setup dump over the middle. Anthony does such a nice job there in the middle. He's not even 6 foot. They list him at 6 foot. He's about 5'10", 5'11". Got stuffed at the line of scrimmage, did a really nice job of getting up. But Navarre, that's one of the things that he needs to work on, is getting a little more air on those little dump balls.
Third down for Navarre. He needs 10. Plenty of time. And overthrown again. Intended for Braylon Edwards.
Boy, that timing looked really off on that route. Braylon Edwards, a guy that they knew last year had a ton of ability. The one thing he struggled with a little bit was when he was running routes. He came out of his break late, and that's why it looked like that ball was overthrown. I don't know that it was. It was just a late break.
I'll tell you this, Butler and Edwards were high school basketball stars. They challenged each other all the time in what they call cutthroat matchups. Both have great ups, but he never even jumped for the ball.
Yeah, he was late getting out of his break, never saw the ball coming.
Oh, fuck! This is a high tail wagger, but there's going to be roughing on Penn State.
Yeah, they're going to get James Milan.
And it was only a 37-yard punt, so Penn State was about to get good field position.
When you work on punt block all day, you talk about the block point.
Let's see if it's running into the kicker or roughing the kicker.
That's personal foul. And that's the right call. That's the right call. You know, if you just brush the guy, but James Milan, it looked like an automatic first down on the personal foul. But it looked like Milan, just his angle was wrong. You've got to come in front.
Roughing the kicker defense, 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Watch as Milan flashes in front of the punter. He's got to be laid out in front of that foot. He's got to be going to a point a half a yard in front of the punter. And this is a huge mistake after a missed PAT. Now Penn State gets a 3 and out, and they make a big mistake on special teams.
First down, Michigan. The book in motion. This is Chris Perry to the outside. Pick up 9. It'll bring up second down and 1. Perry now getting on a roll.
Adam Stenovich, the left tackle, gets himself a pancake block on the outside bounce by Perry. Take a look again at that running into the kicker. Milan just didn't get to the point, but that time left tackle Adam Stenovich did such a nice job on Jeremiah Davis and let Chris Perry get to the outside on this run. He gets a slam.
Perry now has 16 carries, 50 yards. And Michigan looking at a second down and short. Navarre came over and ripped off his wristband. Looked like it had the plays in it. I think something happened to it where it was damaged.
Well, there's 3 quarterbacks standing over there with those on. If you rip one, you just trade one out with Brenton, the backup, Matt Gutierrez, the true freshman, 3rd string guy. And second and short, the way Michigan has been able to run the ball and move the things around. This is a middle of the field. Take a shot. Little play action. Maybe Joffrey down the seam, the tight end, because you can always come back and pick up that half a yard for the first down on 3rd.
Yesterday I had an opportunity to sit down with John Navarre. We talked about his offensive strategy and what he's trying to do.
We don't want to force things. I think I've done a lot better job with that this year. Not forcing the ball, taking what the defense gives me. And that's the way we teach our offense. And, you know, if we got to punt, we got to punt. But we want to get ourselves in the right play, get the ball in the hands of our playmakers, and, you know, do what we can with the football and not force and not do things. You know, we want to control the things we can control.
And it's paid off. 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And here comes a little motion to this side. I'd go over the top here.
He's already used 6 different receivers. Here he is. He's got his tight end. Joffrey has the first down in Penn State territory. That's Joffrey's 4th catch.
And this is what you can do. Load it up, motion away from where you're going to go. Here's tight end Joffrey right down the seam. I missed him a little bit there. The fake is bitten on by the linebacker. That's exactly what you're hoping for. And they got Gina Capone to have to honor the fullback dive. He's got man coverage on Joffrey. Great play call by Terry Malone.
Out of the eye on first down. Good ball fake by Navarre. Now steps up into the pocket, throws a dart, and it's complete to Bellamy. Marked at the 22. And here come the Wolverines.
And John Navarre, who's making his 22nd career start at Michigan, looks as comfortable and calm in the pocket as I have ever seen him. I've done 3 or 4 of his ball games last year against Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl, where they got blown out. Looked a little hesitant sometimes in the pocket, but boy, has he done a nice job. He's not the most fleet of foot of moving up in that pocket. What a nice day.
Not only that game in the Citrus Bowl, but also all those turnovers in the Ohio State game, but he threw 4 touchdowns against Washington. He said that was a defining moment in his career this year. He's been comfortable ever since. Perry, not much there, gets back to the line of scrimmage. But you know how that works. He plays Washington early in this season. He throws 4 touchdown passes. And you can understand when he says that's a defining moment. He was almost perfect.
And it was a big game that they had to win at the end. The field goal unit fell apart. Brabs comes in and kicks a 44-yarder to win it because John Navarre got him going. Of course, the big mistake by Washington, having too many men on the field, gave them the first down. As an alumni of Washington, I wasn't happy with that. But Lloyd Carr says it. The confidence of this team, John Navarre has everybody's attention as the quarterback.
And we come to the end of the 3rd period. Penn State 13, Michigan 7. Our presentation of college football will continue after this message and a word from our local stations. You are watching ABC Sports Championship Television. We enter the final 15 minutes in Ann Arbor with Penn State leading Michigan 13-7. Number 13 and number 15 in the nation. Navarre on second down and 10 looks to the corner. There's going to be a flag on this for interference, or is there?
They missed
there should have been. That ball was in the air when a lot of contact was made.
Yes, there was.
Brian Scott just laid out Edwards at the 5, and it wasn't called.
Well, you can make contact within in college football. You can make contact as long as the receiver's in front. You can make contact, but the ball is in the air right there. That's a penalty the whole way. The ball was in the air when Brian Scott made contact. He's allowed to make contact as long as the ball's not in the air and he's in front or next to the receiver, but that was a missed call.
I'll say this. He's an excellent cover guy. This is his 3rd year as a starter. He's a fox. 3rd down, they need 10. 7-step drop. Across the middle with Bellamy. Get to 10. 1st down, Michigan. This time they were working on Scott and they got it complete.
And John Navarre, we just heard a soundbite from him a few minutes ago about taking what they give. Watch the inside receiver run off, and then right underneath of it, a great move by Edwards. And then Scott, the cornerback, he's a little bit late getting there because of all the traffic in front of him. That's a nice read by John Navarre, seeing that man coverage and taking it.
5 catches for Bellamy. 1st down. Perry to the 5. Chris Perry, 6'1", 220, now becoming the workhorse.
Perry, a guy who had to share time last year with B.J. Askew. Askew actually ended up leading the team with 902 yards rushing. They asked B.J. to gain some weight, become a fullback, because Chris Perry, awful explosive, and man, does he finish runs.
Second down at the 5. Timing pattern to Edwards. Touchdown, Michigan. There is a flag, but I believe it's going to be against Penn State. Rich Gardner. Touchdown stands. We're tied at 13.
Well, when you got a skilled athlete like Braylon Edwards, 6'3", long arms, great leaping ability, nice touch pass by Navarre, that's almost automatic.
Nienberg on for the extra point, splits the sticks, and Michigan leads by 1.
Well, you take Braylon Edwards, you walk him out there, one-on-one down at the bottom, you just stutter, and then you run right to that pylon. And watch this throw by John Navarre. 1, 2, the second step, the ball's in the air. The whole key to that throw is get it in the air as soon as you can so that Edwards can make an adjustment on the ball. Good separation that time. Actually, very good coverage by Rich Gardner, but with this kind of skill and this kind of touch throw, that's indefensible. What a nice play call by Terry Malone.
Edwards' 3rd catch, his 6th touchdown of the year.
And I said to you at one of the breaks that this place wasn't as loud as I thought it would be for this game, and now starting to churn it up a little bit.
And there's a look at Gold, who has 1 missed field goal and 1 missed extra point, which now loom large. .51 to play. And this one goes out of the back line. They'll bring it out to the 20, and that's where the Nittany Lions will start.
And this is, luckily for Penn State, Zach Mills' time. They talk about how cool and calm he is. Fran Ganner says sometimes he almost seems disinterested. He is so calm and collected, does not get too excited. And his calmness, I've been around quarterbacks like that. Chris Chandler when I was with the Arizona Cardinals, Dave Craig. Guys, when they walk into the huddle and they're calm, it calms everybody else down.
Well, he now carries the Lions' hopes on his sore shoulder. 10 of 17, 1 touchdown. Still no turnovers. Mills throwing to the corner. Complete. 1st down, Penn State. At the 32 goes Brian Johnson. Pacific Life game summary, Ed.
Key 3rd down. Zach Mills finds Gerald Smith, and then a gorgeous throw to Bryant Johnson, who it didn't look like there was any chance he was going to get it. And then he finds his tight end, Zach Mills does, over the middle. Mike Lukac, who threw a great move. They're going to need more of the same right here. And you get the feeling with Zach Mills that you're going to get it.
He is calm. Got his first start against Michigan just a year ago. All-conference academic guy. Quality young man. Here's the completion to Robinson, the backup quarterback, and Robinson is close to another Penn State first down. It is enough. They'll move the chains. Monday night, join Al Michaels and John Madden for the birth of a division rivalry. Jeff Garcia, Terrell Owens, and the 49ers battle Sean Alexander and the Seahawks as Monday night at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. And don't forget to cast your vote for Monday Night Football's greatest game at ESPN.com, keyword MNF 500 or NFL.com.
If you haven't had a chance to see that new Seahawks stadium, that is a piece of art that Trent Dilfer plays in.
16-2 in his last 18 starts. Wow. First down, Larry Johnson out to midfield. There is a flag, and this is thrown in the area where they call holding.
What a clean game we've had. 3 flags is that? 4 or 5 the entire game. 5th of the game thrown. Both of these teams. It's just one of those Big Ten battles that Joe Paterno's seen a couple of times in his day. How many games do you think he's seen like this? Played very well, very hard.
During the play, holding, offense, 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Joe Iorio, former walk-on, studying engineering, should know better. Penn State, the least penalized team in the Big Ten. Joe never likes that call because you could almost call it every play.
Yeah, you can, but in the middle of that line.
But when they change the rules, let these guys use their hands.
Yeah,
you gotta let them play
entirely.
You keep it inside the shoulders, gotta let them play. First down. Penn State needs 20. Set up a screen to Larry Johnson. Cuts back to midfield. Will mark it at the 48. Not enough for the first, but gets a lot of it back. Gain of 16.
Tyler Linda, the right guard. We've seen him all day do such a nice job out in space blocking for Larry Johnson. Watch as he lets the defender go, comes out and gets a block on the linebacker. We've seen him pull and make blocks. You block for a second, come out, and watch this block right there on Kaufman, down around his legs, and it's the vision of Larry Johnson to get around that block. That's 2 guys working very well together.
Spectacular. Johnson gets back to the line of scrimmage. But it'll bring up 3rd down. And a long 4.
Frank Ganner has so many different things he can do here. With Larry Johnson, Zach Mills coming back onto the field. So many different things. Some kind of play action, move the pocket. Jim Herman, I would be really surprised if he doesn't bring some pressure on this play.
They need 4 on 3rd down. Mills. Johnson. First down. A strike from Mills to Tony Johnson. And Tony Johnson is shaken up. His first catch of the afternoon. And he's slow to get off the turf. Tony, younger brother of Larry. 5 catches last week against Wisconsin. There's his dad looking on. 3-sport all-state player from State College High School.
It's man coverage to the outside. You got Tony Johnson working on Marcus Curry. Curry, just a sophomore, made a mistake and turned to the outside too soon, and that's a really nice route against man coverage. Push it, push it, push it to the outside. Be physical with your hands coming back inside. And Tony Johnson, a guy that has been challenged by Joe Paterno to be an every play player.
Tony looks okay. 8th receiver used by Zach Mills. First down, State. Steps up in the pocket, throws to Larry Johnson. Little shuffle pass, and it's a pickup of 9. Mills does so many things. He's like a magician back there.
Yeah, and if you know, defensive coordinators getting ready to play this guy, they talk about the differing things he can do. And there's just a broken play. It looks like there's nothing there. And that's not exactly how Frank Ganner drew it up for his quarterback.
That was special. That looked like a Doug Flutie Boston College play.
But, you know, when we talked to Jim Herman, the defense coordinator from Michigan during the week, he was talking about this type of play. I mean, how do you defend this? It doesn't matter what you draw up, what coverage you're in, how many blitzes you're calling. It's just such a heads-up play.
8 straight completions for Mills. Second down and 1. Larry Johnson into the pile. Not much there. He'll be close to the first, depending on the mark. Let's go down to Sam Ryan.
And guys, you see Mike Lukac in there, tight end in place of Casey Williams. Casey is on the training table with crutches in front of him. His left leg is wrapped. There's ice on his, what appears to be his left knee. It is on his left leg. The ice is, his left knee is wrapped right now. Lukac is in. Williams is watching.
Lukac came in and caught a touchdown pass from Zach Mills.
Now you got a 2 tight end set, and Andrew Richardson has to come in up top. You're a little limited. 3rd and short. You'd really like to be able to use those tight ends.
Jumbo set their heavy 3rd down and 1. Option. Mills. First down. Inside the 20. Zach Mills is the first Penn State quarterback firmly committed to running the sprint option. I mean, they passed to set up the run with Zach, and he picks up the first.
But Andrew Richardson does such a nice job. He comes in because of the injury to Casey Williams. Watch the block by the tight end on this option. And this is why Zach Mills can get a great combo block. Little bit of a hold, but you're going to get away with that. But that was a nice combo block with the left tackle, Gus Felder. And a fresh in when one of the veterans of the team, juniors, is sitting on the sideline.
First down for Mills. Johnson back to the line of scrimmage. And we take you back to Manhattan. Let's go to John Saunders at Times Square Stadium.
Well, it's over. Notre Dame is now 6-0. Tyrone Willingham, the 3rd coach in Notre Dame history to start his career 6-0. Preston Jackson intercepts Rod Rutherford here to seal the victory with about a minute left. So the Irish remain unbeaten. And Texas leads Oklahoma by a field goal.
With an interception, it is becoming uncanny, the things that Tyrone Willingham's defense is doing. Everybody talked about that offense. Truly, the difference for Notre Dame has been that defense.
Meanwhile, Penn State has 2nd down and need 10. Mills looks to the end zone. Touchdown, Penn State. Bryant Johnson came free on the post pattern, and the ball was waiting for him. A strike from 19 yards out.
And this is best on best football. You put your best guy out, I put my best guy out. Now Penn State going for 2 because they have to with the missed field goal. But watch the move up top. That's Marlon Jackson in coverage. Oh, he just gives away the inside. Way too easy. Doesn't have safety help. That's not good man coverage. He's got to be set inside. Joe Paterno knows he's got a lot of good weapons on the outside. What a great route. But again, Marlon Jackson, he's set deeper inside on that man coverage.
Zach Mills is special. And Bryant Johnson is talented. Well, the percentage of completion on 2-point conversions is only 43%. We'll see what Penn State can do. Quick drop. Zach makes it look easy to Bryant Johnson, and we're now tied.
Boy, that's 2 plays in a row. The best cover guy, Marlon Jackson, in man coverage on Bryant Johnson. And he's just getting beat on a little slant route.
I said tied. It's 21-14. Penn State, Zach Mills and Bryant Johnson have made the difference. Six for 6 on that drive and takes Penn State in for the score in the 2-point conversion. The Nittany Lions lead 21-14. 7:46 to play. David Kimball to kick off. High end over end kick. Taking a yard deep. Look out. And LeSueur takes it all the way back out to the 36-yard line. A 37-yard return. Instant recall, folks. Bryant Johnson on that last drive and throughout this game has been spectacular.
He's been there exactly where Zach Mills has needed him every time. Great catches. That was the touchdown on that drive. And then he also had the two-point conversion, working one-on-one with Marlon Jackson, the best cover guy from Michigan. He came out on top on that matchup.
Now Navarre goes to work underneath to his tight end Jopru. And Jopru has his 5th catch of the game and picks up 8.
Both of these quarterbacks today, John Navarre, Zach Mills, at the beginning of that drive when Michigan took the lead 14-13. We knew how calm he is, but Navarre has really looked confident and poised and so good in the pocket. And again, they're so good on first down. Now you've got a 2nd and 1. Open up that playbook. Try something across the middle or deep.
2nd down and 1. Navarre throws to the flat. 1st down to Askew. And into Penn State territory. One double agent reaches a turning point as the two men in her heart meet for the very first time. I'm talking about the new alias, ABC tomorrow, 9, 8 Central.
And I don't think enough can be said about, in addition to this staff, for John Navarre, quarterback coach Scott Loeffler. 2nd string to Todd Collins back in '95 here from Michigan, coach the last 2 years at Central Michigan. He has done such a nice job with Navarre. You can see the calmness, reading his progressions, and they're calling a lot of plays that he's getting done for them.
Chris Perry to the outside to the 41-yard line. Let's take you back to New York. John Saunders.
Well, in your game, Penn State made up for the missed extra point and may come back to haunt UCLA in this game. Oregon, Jason Fife finds Keenan Howery. This one covers 74 yards. And again, get out your calculators at the end of this game. Oregon leads it by 1 thanks to the miss. PAT. Tim.
Kevin Brandt just got leveled. He was hustling. Your son was hustling.
He got hammered.
He got leveled.
He got hammered. 2nd down and 3. And a flag flies. Interference on Michael Haynes, number 81.
Michael Haynes dropping off into coverage on Benny Jopru. And Michael Haynes is a fantastic athlete, but Jopru is a special player who's rated the #1 athlete coming out of high school in all of the Midwest.
Defense. The penalty is at the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
That was pretty close. Haynes, you're right, is a terrific athlete, having a great year, 7.5 sacks. Look at the passing chart, though, for Navarre. He has just mixed it up with 8 different receivers.
And really what impresses me, this right here. He is 5 for 6 for 31 yards when he has nothing downfield. He either throws it away or finds somebody, B.J. Askew or Perry, and just dumps it off.
Long drop, steps up into the pocket, throws a strike to Edwards at the 20. Navarre just picking them apart now. His 21st start as a Wolverine. In every game you can see Navarre get more comfortable and go through his progression and pick up his reads.
And I'm going to keep going back to this time and time again. As a former offensive lineman, there is nothing more beautiful than a quarterback who trusts that the middle of the pocket is going to be secure. Good rush on the outside, but he knows those big fellas in the middle have built the wall, and he can step up and deliver.
1st down to give to Perry. You know, yesterday talking to John Navarre, asked him about that, his 21st start. Asked him about going through the progression. Here's what he said.
It's a system that you got to keep repping in your mind and in practice. At 1 to 2 to 3, that's a progression, and you hit the first open man. And if you don't have it, you throw it away or run. You don't try to force things. And that's something that's worked for us so far, and we've been doing a great job with that. And our receivers really understand the mentality of our offense as well.
Navarre 24 for 36, 220 yards and a touchdown. Talk about a guy in rhythm and going through that progression, looking at his receivers, and has this one knocked down by Michael Haynes.
And the other day when we were out at practice and they were working on their drives, they were working down the field, down the field, down the field. Every time that they ran 3 and 4 wide receivers, as soon as the play was over, you could see Scott Loeffler, the quarterback coach, go up to Navarre. What'd you see? What was the coverage? Why did you come back down to the tight end? And they're going to need something like that here. Again, Benny Jopru is such a great weapon on 3rd and long.
They need 8 on 3rd down. Huge play here for Michigan.
Right down at the bottom. Looks like he's going to stay in for protection, but I would get him involved somehow.
Looking for 8 yards. Gets more than that. First down, Michigan inside the 10. Braylon Edwards with his 5th catch of the afternoon.
Edwards had a couple of drops earlier. He had one route that he ran incorrectly. Watch the hands of Braylon Edwards. He's so slippery, nearly falls down, comes out of his route. Ball thrown a little bit behind him. But that is why the coaches around here are so excited. Marquise Walker's graduates. David Terrell was gone before that, and they've just got another guy to insert with great hands and all that size. And he's isolated down here again.
Gain of 12, first and goal. Chris Perry to the 5, to the 3, to the 2-yard line.
And this is where, when an offense is doing whatever they want to do, which Michigan has been doing with play-action pass, drop-back pass, all the different things, Penn State, although they have some good frontline players, they get a little winded. They don't have a lot of depth in that defensive line. Right now, pound it straight ahead. Don't even mess around. BJ Askew, Chris Perry right behind him.
Perry, a workhorse, 21 carries, 68 yards. Here he is again. Runs into a wall. Jimmy Kennedy, the All-American, was there to meet him.
We take a look at the Jeep rushing playbook. Here's how you stuff the run inside. You're 6'6", 315 pounds on a slant. Watch Jimmy Kennedy lined up on the left side here. Watch how these two guys come slanting down inside. They're lined up on the outside shade, but they're going to get across the face of the offensive lineman as the center tries to block back. That's a great slant call by Tom Bradley.
Big 3rd and goal from Michigan. Looking to the back of the end zone. Now throws. Touchdown, Wolverines. Braylon Edwards again. The big house is rocking.
So don't bother knocking John Navarre anymore. This guy is playing spectacular. Went through 4 different receivers, didn't get happy feet, and came back to the supremely skilled Braylon Edwards.
Extra point is good by Nienberg. And we're tied at 21. 3:24 to play. This strike to Edwards has this game deadlocked.
The new Jeep Liberty Renegade. It gives you the power to conquer nature. As well as the ability to protect it. The new Liberty Renegade.
My grandfather started the business back in 1923. Figured everybody likes ice cream, so that might be a pretty good way to make a living. This is where we mix and prepare the ingredients for the ice cream. Who can guess what we keep in here?
That's right. Got to keep it cold in here.
The best part is that look on their faces when they see how many miles I have on it.
Take pride in your odometer with Valvoline's Max Life. It helps keep higher mileage engines running for a long, long time.
Now there's a better way to soothe your skin after shaving. Nivea for Men Aftershave Balm has advanced moisturizers and vitamins to soothe and improve your skin. Nivea for Men. More evolved skincare.
3:24 to play. Braylon Edwards has just tied this game at 21. Michigan playing with a lot of emotion. If you weren't here earlier, Zia Combs, the defensive back, injured on the field, down for a long time. They cut off his face mask. They put him on a gurney. They took him to the hospital. At halftime, Lloyd Carr said he had movement, no broken bones. They were going to keep him in the hospital overnight. But a lot of emotion right now for the Wolverines of Michigan with 3:24 to play.
And it took them a while in that first quarter to get back mentally focused. And from about the middle of the second quarter on, their offensive line and John Navarre has played spectacular. And Zach Mills for Penn State, he's playing out of his mind. He is so much fun to watch how cool and calm he is.
Phillip Brabs, the kickoff. High kick. Johnson 3 yards deep and downs it there. ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Jeep, the most respected, honored, and heroic 4x4s out there, only in Jeep 4x4. By Sprint, introducing PCS Vision, clearly a whole new way to look at wireless. And by FedEx, ground, international, online, or express. Don't worry, there's a FedEx for that. Here at the Big House, 111,000 people squeezed in. They've come from all over the state of Michigan, as far away as Happy Valley at State College. Penn State fans. We're tied at 21 with 3:18 to play. First down, Lions. Zach Mills with pressure, and he's sacked. Grant Bowman with the sack, and it takes Penn State back near the 10.
Grant Bowman, a guy who's kind of been a backup right here on your screen. Couple of starts. He's been in there with some injuries. Great spin move. Never gave up. Working on the right guard, Tyler Linda. But that's just nice. Get your body going one way, spin back the other, making the most of his playing time.
A loss of 8. Third down and 8, or second down and 18 for Mills. As it complete to Johnson to the 12-yard line. Let's go back to New York. John Saunders has an update for us. John?
Tim, sometimes better to be lucky than good. Nate Hibble hooks up with Will Peoples as Oklahoma's marching. Peoples catches it, loses it, right to Quentin Griffin. Touchdown. Just that easy as Oklahoma grabs the lead right now with about 11 minutes left. 21-17, Tim.
All right, John, a lot of close games. We've got one here. Third down and 12 for Penn State. We're under 2 minutes to play. This place is going crazy. 111, 502. The 5th largest crowd ever. Well over 111,000. And timeout, Penn State.
Kind of a strange time to take a timeout. You had plenty of time to set up 3rd and long. I don't know why you'd burn a timeout.
Because he couldn't hear. He was telling the official it was too loud. He couldn't hear. They said, well, you're going to have to take a timeout. And he eventually did.
Yeah.
1:42 to play. We'll be back. Deafening in here now. 5th largest crowd ever to watch a college football game. This stadium is rocking.
Got a silent snap count with Zach Mills in the shotgun. The noise should not be a factor for his offensive line.
Michigan shows blitz out of the shotgun. Mills throws. This ball is caught. It's caught at the 46 by Brian Johnson. And Zach Mills threw that pass long before Johnson's break.
And Jim Herman on 3rd and long takes a calculated risk as a defensive coordinator. And watch Larry Johnson. You have to be able to pass protect. Does a great job coming to the outside, picking up Cato June. A double move.
Wow.
Oh, boy. We got to go back and take a look at that one. I'm not sure he had it.
First down, Penn State. Mills is loose across midfield and into Michigan territory. A pickup of 6.
Great job of blitz pickup by the front. Larry Johnson, the tailback. I don't know that Brian Johnson had complete control of that ball as he was sliding on the ground.
Penn State has worked out of a hole as we go under 1 minute to play. Nittany Lions at midfield, 2nd and 5. Incomplete. Intended for Mike Lukac. And Mills put it only where his guy could get it or nobody would get it.
Now here's a great throw by Mills. Great blitz pickup. But let's see if Bryant Johnson.
He had it. The ground, when he hit the ground, knocked it loose.
Yeah, and the official had the angle on it. The official had a great angle on it, so we'll go with that call. It was awfully close, but I think you're right, Tim.
So it'll be 3rd down and call it 5. Penn State with 2 timeouts left.
And you're in. It might as well be 2nd down because you're going to go for it on 4th if you don't pick up the first here.
Mills looking deep to Johnson. Has it out of bounds.
But I like the call. You know you're going to go for it on 4th down. Why not take a little bit of a shot? You got one-on-one coverage. You've been beating it all day on the outside. You've got Johnson working one-on-one.
I wouldn't go for it here.
Against Marcus Curry.
That's a catch. That was a catch. His foot was in bounds. Watch.
Let's see. Goes up. Makes a play on the ball.
I don't know. It's close.
Ooh, it's awful close.
That other angle was. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he got both feet down. What a great replay.
Penn State will kick it away, though. They ruled he was out. Low, spiraling kick at the 10. To the 21-yard line goes Julius Curry, and that's where Michigan will have it with 33 seconds left.
I don't know that you play for overtime on the road. That's why I was thinking they would go for it on 4th down. I know your defense has played okay, but Michigan has played so well offensively.
But not a percentage play.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, with this much time, you give it to them.
Middle of the field on the road, I think you can go for it.
Post-game report. John and Terry will have the scores and highlights from around the country.
Oh, and I agree with these fans. I would be booing as loud as I could with 2 timeouts, 33 seconds. I know your field goal unit hasn't been great all year, but 26 of 39 for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Navarre has been in this ball game. I got to get a chance to get down there and try a 40 or 50 yard field goal.
13 seconds left. Continues to move.
And that's why I thought that Joe Paterno might go for it on 4th down at the 50-yard line, because the way that Michigan has played offensively and the protection that Navarre has gotten, I don't agree with this. You got to take a couple shots.
The end of the game. We're going into overtime. Michigan 21, Penn State 21. We're at the big house. We're deadlocked, and we'll be back. Find the white jerseys there, because that's where the Penn State fans are. Folks, this stadium was completed in 1927.
They won the toss, and they want to play defense.
And Penn State is the first overtime ever here.
Into the field. First down. There'll be a media timeout. Media timeout.
Overtime is about to begin. Our presentation of college football will continue after this. We're about to get started. Tied at 21. More than 111,000. The Penn State fans in that end zone. That's why Penn State wanted to go in that direction. Mills at quarterback. With time. Now he runs out of time and throws it away. Great decision by Mills to unload it.
Boy, the way this is set up, where you get the ball on the 25, you cannot take a sack because it's already a pretty long field goal. Robbie Gould, their kicker, their fine kicker, has been struggling today, and Zach didn't have what he liked. They're taking a shot down. Fran Ganner getting a little greedy early, taking a shot towards the end zone, but that was a heads-up play by Zach Mills to get rid of that.
Some of his best passes are incompletions. But Larry Johnson with a huge run, a pickup of 17, first down, Nittany Lions, the ball at the 9.
And what a gutsy performance today by Larry Johnson. Didn't start the ball game because of his tweaked hamstring. Still not 100%. You can see that little giddy up in his running, but boy, what a nice play.
How about the play call by the old Fox? He saw they came with so much pressure, were so aggressive on that
right
first
underneath
sack.
of it.
They said, go, let him come and go underneath. So here we go, first down and goal. Larry Johnson again, looking for a block. Johnson pulls his way down to the 6. Charles Drake made the tackle, the safety.
First down and goal from the 9 is no bargain. No chance of picking up a first down. So difficult to call plays here. Trying to get this to the outside to Larry Johnson. Really one of the first true toss plays we've seen because of his hamstring. It's one of the tougher plays when he plans to get downhill. Got some good positive yards, but now Mills in a position where on second and goal, they got to start thinking about throwing it.
Now you wonder if that sets up the next play. Second down and goal. Mills to the tight end, almost intercepted. Cato June was there. It was thrown at Lukac. But a dangerous pass by Mills.
It was, and it was late. Locks in, and it's a little bit late. He tries to get some touch on it, but boy, there's 3 blue jerseys in front of that ball. There's 3 blue jerseys in front of the white jersey. Watch how long Zach Mills takes to get this ball to his tight end right across the middle. And boy, that's just sitting there. Cato June sitting in zone coverage, reading the eyes of the quarterback. If he intercepts it, ends Penn State's possession, and Michigan gets the ball, only needing a field goal to win.
Third and goal. Mills. Incomplete, ripped out of the hands of Brian Johnson. Terrific defensive play by Marlon Jackson. Jackson grew up in Pennsylvania, went to camp at Penn State, but signed with Michigan, and now makes a big play against some of his old mates.
They'd given up some big plays earlier in the ball game to Brian Johnson, and Robbie Gould comes in. He struggled, had a great game last week against Wisconsin, 4 for 4, but he's had his struggles here this afternoon.
This will be a 23-yard attempt. From a tough angle. Good snap, good hold. Missed it. Flag down, penalty.
And it is on Michigan. If this was on Penn State, for any kind of motion, unless it was illegal formation, but all Easy Smith is pointing at Michigan, I believe they were lined up offsides. Oh boy, what a mistake.
Offside.
Robbie Gould lives to see another day because of a huge mental error by Michigan.
Defense has to get to the goal line. Repeat, 4th down.
You still have to go for the kick now.
Move it down inside the 5 to the 3.
But this becomes a very difficult kick because of the angle.
Now it's an extra point.
Because they brought the field goals into NFL width, the hashes are still wide. This is a tough angle here.
20-yard field goal attempt. Good snap, good hold, and he splits the sticks. Penn State on the board in overtime.
Oh, and Lloyd Carr has to be beside himself. They got out of their first possession with 0 points on defense, with 0 points. And then they're offsides and give up 3 points.
10 at the 25, playing at the same end.
So now Michigan has the ball. You heard him. First down at the 25, the same end, the Penn State end of the stadium. And a touchdown wins it.
That's why you choose to go on defense first, and I think this is where clearly Michigan has the advantage because of the size of their receivers. Braylon Edwards, we've seen make a bunch of good plays, 6'3", going up, making plays on the ball, and John Navarre has played so well this afternoon. I would see if I could find this guy one-on-one and get him to the corner of the end zone.
John Navarre has hit 26 of his 39 passes today for 2 touchdowns. Play action. Navarre looking deep, going to Edwards, overthrown. That'll get your attention if you're on defense.
Yes, it will.
And Edwards had a step on Sean Mayer.
And we went to this overtime setup a few years ago, and I've never been a big fan of it. To me, it takes away too much of the game. It takes away field position. It puts the defense in such a bad position, and that's why you see the offenses. That's why there's 5, 6, and 7 overtime periods, because the offense has such a big advantage from the 25-yard line in.
Second down, and Michigan needs 10. 3-step drop, throws hard. This is Edwards. Edwards down close to the first down. He'll be just short, depending on the mark. They mark it just outside the 15. He had to get across the 15 for the first.
Get yourself a fresh set of downs. You got a 230-pound quarterback. Let him take a little sneak. You just got to get those chains back to 1st and 10 and reset your entire offense. Boy, that was a long time looking towards getting the call from the sideline. I'm not surprised if they try something here, but I think they should just try to pound it and get the first down.
Play clock at 7. 3rd down and inches. Perry has the first to the 12-yard line. A new set of downs, new life for Michigan. I want to welcome those of you watching the Oklahoma-Texas game. Tim Brand along with Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan. Penn State leads Michigan 24-21. We're in overtime. Michigan with a brand new set of downs. First down at the 12. Trying to win the ball game on this possession. John Navarre has been on fire. He gives to Chris Perry off the left side down to the 6-yard line.
Penn State had the ball first in overtime. They got to a 1st and goal from the 9, such a difficult position to score from. They were unable to score. Robbie Gould, their field goal kicker, came in, missed the field goal. Michigan was offsides, giving him another shot. He makes it. But now Michigan in such a good position because they can pick up the first down inside the 1.5-yard line.
Oklahoma winning 35-17 with 3 minutes left, and we will keep you updated on that game. Meanwhile, it's 2nd down and 4. Joe Paterno anxious, needing a big defensive stop here. 2nd down. Perry. Play action. Navarre throws into the end zone. Almost intercepted, and there is a flag.
Boy, that was a dangerous throw. We saw Zach Mills try to find his tight end, Mike Lukac, on the last drive and tried to force one in there.
This one against the Nittany Lions.
Will not be a first down. They're on this about the 5 3/4. So it'll still be 2nd down.
Defense, half the distance to the goal line penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Second defensive offsides we've had in the overtime period. Michigan had one. Now Penn State has one.
Boy, can you imagine if Penn State would have come up with that interception to win the game and they would have been offsides after Michigan was offsides on the bad field goal by Penn State.
2nd down and a long one. Askew to the 2-yard line.
Depends on the spot of whether he got the first down. It looks like where the officials are coming.
Right on the mark.
Yes, it is. Askew does so many things out of the backfield as a receiver. They switched him to fullback this year. He gained about 15 pounds. Was a tailback his first 4 years here, and they're going to bring in the sticks.
Defense is happy about this. It gives them a breather.
That's a good point, Tim. This defense for Penn State has had their hands full in the second half. The Michigan offensive line doing such a nice job.
Just short. That far.
And you cannot risk not picking up the first down. You have to do something. Anytime they've needed a foot or two, they've pounded it in there with Perry or Askew or even a quarterback sneak. You got to pick up the first.
If you're Navarre, you want to make sure you get the snap. You handle the ball properly.
And they just brought in a 290-pound fullback in Sean Sanderson. I don't think there's any question what they're going to do. There's Sanderson right there, number 44. That's a guard in the backfield, basically.
Jumbo formation. They go heavy. Perry the setback. 3rd down and inches. Perry. Touchdown, Michigan. Wolverines win it. Against the Nittany Lions of Penn State. 27-24, Michigan.
Penn State has now lost 6 in a row to Michigan. Nobody on this Penn State team has ever beaten the Wolverines, and they have to go 2 years now without even playing them.
Chris Perry, spectacular game. Navarre, 27 of 41, 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. Today's Chevrolet players of the game are John Navarre, who was incredible bringing the Wolverines from behind, and Zach Mills, who was 19 of 31, 2 touchdowns. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Let's go downstairs. Here's Sam.
Coach, the 5th largest crowd in stadium history here, the first overtime game here. How huge is this win?
Well, I give a lot of credit to Penn State. They've played 2 tough ball games. They came in here and gave it everything they had. It was a great football game, and we're very happy to win, and to win at home, and to keep alive an opportunity to win the Big Ten championship. It doesn't get much better than this.
Talk about the play of Marlon Jackson. He seemed to get burned a couple of times here in this game, but a huge play in the overtime.
Well, Bland Johnson is a great receiver, and we didn't get enough pressure, and he did beat him deep there for a big play, but that's a great football team.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Congratulations.
Lloyd Carr knows from whence he speaks. With a matchup like that, folks, you'll win some and you'll lose some.
Joe Paterno says that Lloyd Carr might be the most underrated coach in America, and I have to agree with him.
Once again, our final score, Penn State 24, Michigan with the big win in overtime, 27-24. ABC Sports Online at ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports. Monday Night Football, 9 Eastern Time, San Francisco and Seattle on ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. For Ed Cunningham and Sam Ryan, I'm Tim Brandt saying so long from Ann Arbor, Michigan.